Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. It's the Doctor's Nutrition Show. Jim Tabor, along with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox. We are here live in studio, and am I on here? Yes, I am.
Yeah, we are live.
Echo. Anyway, this is where we give you the opportunity to call in and ask questions regarding our subject of the day, or if we are doing something as far as
anything.
We're going to do anything.
A question on anything.
Oh, it's Monday. I'm still in shock over that with the last-minute win that the Saints got yesterday. So.
Yeah, buddy, that was a...
Oh, what did that?
Man, I wouldn't have thought it would happen.
Talk about giving you heart condition. But anyway, we're talking about something today that a lot of people suffer from. You don't necessarily have to have, I know it goes along with diabetes, but you don't necessarily have to have diabetes, and that's neuropathy. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713 are our phone lines for you today, so give us a call in. But neuropathy, I mean, is this something that can affect all ages? Is this going to start early or what?
Well, depending on what causes it, yes. I mean, you know,
Yes.
for instance, a lot of times you have neuropathy secondary to spinal injuries and, you know, spinal problems. And that can come at a very young age.
It can also happen with a nutritional deficiency, which can also happen at any age.
For instance, B12.
Yes, and B12 is a big one. Now, some of the other B vitamins, B6 can play a role, folic acid can play a role. I mean, there's other vitamins that can make a difference. And then, you know, nowadays we're seeing all the kids pre-diabetic.
Really?
Yes, and since when we do lab work on a lot of the teenagers and, you know, that we're looking at, I mean, majority of them, I can honestly, about a majority is pre-diabetic already. And so the new research actually shows you can have neuropathies in the pre-diabetic stage, not just in the diabetic stage.
That's the thing, you know, and that's kind of misleading to the public because a lot of times, you know, you go to your doc and they'll say, well, you're pre-diabetes, you know, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, yeah.
Well, yeah, worry about it, okay, because if you're pre-diabetic, that means your A1C is above 5.6, it's 5.7 or greater. And even though it's not quote-unquote diabetic range, anything above 5.5, the research is indicating that when it goes that high, that we're starting to see some damage, and you know, typically the nerve damage and other tissue too, but nerve damage especially. So even with an A1C that's 5.6, which is right on the top end of normal, you can start having some problems if you're a susceptible individual. If you take that pre-diabetes state and add to it, well, you're a little bit low in B12 and you got some of these other B vitamins you're not getting and blah, 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 you know, it all adds up.
Yeah, we've had quite a few even teenagers that come in with the tingling and numbness in their fingers, and it was a B12 deficiency.
Really?
So we see that a lot. I mean, we see, and some of the symptoms of neuropathies, of course, the tingling and numbness in the fingers, not being able to feel hot and cold, pain. I mean, that's probably the one that bothers people the most is the pain. It hurts. When you start damaging that nerve, it hurts. So pain is probably, and we have people, I mean, multiple people a day come in with neuropathies. That's why we decided to talk about it, is because so many people out there have it.
Well, what are some of the earlier signs of it?
Well,
typically you're probably going to start with some of those vague, tingly kind of things. You know, maybe your feet feel just a little bit numb or tingly, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
Maybe not the pain so much yet.
Like, you know, for instance, you sat on your foot, I'm sure, and it went to sleep.
Oh, I was going to say, it's like your foot going to sleep or something like that.
Well, it's the same thing, yeah. And it's kind of a mild feeling like that. And typically by the time that shows up, you know, you're starting to see some pretty good damage to those nerves, and you really need to be proactive at that point. You know, the one thing you don't want to do is to ignore it.
Right.
It's like that red light on your car, you know, on your dash on your car flashing at you, saying do something. And, you know, this is a red light for sure.
Even some of the twitches that people get are considered to be a neuropathy. It's actually a motor neuropathy. You can have motor neuropathy, you can have sensory neuropathy. So there's different types of neuropathies, but really in injuries, I mean, like he mentioned earlier, spinal injury, but even having a back problem, you can actually get neuropathies.
Well, any kind of back problem.
Because it actually can impinge the nerve, and when we say impinge it, it's just slightly, but it'll make that nerve pain.
Yeah.
Would you see more athletes? You know, you know, that it could get neuropathy?
No, actually, it's probably the opposite.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably see more people that are just really unhealthy.
And really out of shape. If you take somebody that's really out of shape, you know, you're a quote unquote couch potato, and you decide to be a weekend warrior for whatever reason, you can start damaging. You're easily damaged.
Because it shocks your body.
Well, yeah, and
Well, you're not used to it.
You're not used to it. Your muscles aren't strong.
You probably
they
have
can't
more
protect.
injuries when you're not used to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no doubt athletes can have it too, especially from the injury part of it. We see more neuropathies that aren't really from the injuries. We see more that are just from everyday life. Now, we also see a lot of people that have had chemo, and everybody out there that's had chemo knows that's one of the side effects, is it actually can damage the nerves, and so they might have neuropathies due to and other medications too. So, I mean, the thing is medications can do it, injury can do it, the vitamin deficiencies can do it. There's so many different, and diabetes, no doubt.
Just say bad diet.
Yeah, bad diet leads to diabetes, and diabetes, no question, is known for it. When you hear of neuropathies, everybody thinks of diabetic neuropathy. And there's no doubt, probably most of what we see is that.
Does sugar feed neuropathy?
No,
Too much sugar?
Sugar damages the nerve.
Okay.
That's why you get a neuropathy. The sugar is very damaging.
Yeah. Well, what a lot of people don't realize about the A1C, let's talk about it for just a second.
Okay.
Most people think, it's just a number. They just pull it out of the air, no big deal. It's just a number. What it is that's showing you how much damage is done to the protein called hemoglobin A1C in your body.
It's the percentage that's damaged.
It's a percentage. So it's a 5.6% or a 5.9%. That's how much damage you have to tissue. Right. So as you can see, higher is not good, so you want to keep it low. And one of the big things, especially with the diabetes and the pre-diabetes and the metabolic syndrome, and my God, they've got books about this stuff now. When you look at it, anytime that A1C starts going above, some authors will tell you that they can see some indications above like 5.3, 5.4. Now that's pretty scary because technically everybody we got, even the good ones coming in are going to have 5.4 and that kind of thing. So, but any of those things, so yes, the sugar can cause the damage because it's damaging tissue.
Wow.
And another thing that's been shown to actually damage nerves, we didn't mention yet, are toxins.
Yeah.
And environmental toxins. They actually, when some people can't figure out, they can't figure out why am I having this, and they don't fit any of the other criteria, well, you got to think of toxins. And they do know that environmental toxins and even toxins that the body produces in response to other things, like homocysteine. High homocysteine is a neurotoxin. So a high homocysteine can affect it as well. And homocysteine can be checked, which we tell people all the time, have it checked, because if it's high, you can lower it.
Right.
And we have something called methylcore that very effectively lowers homocysteine. And if you get it lowered, it's a neurotoxin, and that's going to help as well.
All right. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Talking about neuropathy this morning, or if you have questions regarding anything, a health issue, please give us a call. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi's Doctor's Nutrition Show. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Jim Tabor along with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox. And we're talking about neuropathy this morning, some of the conditions, some of the things that watch out for, things that aggravate it, and things that you can possibly do to help it out some.
Yeah, one of the things that we see an awful lot of, especially in the elderly, and unfortunately now we're seeing this in younger elderly, okay, which like 60 and above. We're seeing. Yeah, I know.
That ain't elderly.
He didn't get that on camera, but I frowned at him real good.
I know, yeah, it's not,
we fall with the two of us fall in that category.
Right? But we're just mature.
There you go.
But the thing about it is, like Janine and I were talking, even off air there about the thing. Some of the people get to where if they got teeth or whatever they call problems, they won't eat meat, and they stop eating the meat, and they wind up with a B12 deficiency. It can be very bad. Easy to fix, for God's sakes.
Right. We have a supplemental B12, and the methylcobalamin is your better form of B12.
It is.
And we like to use it with the methylated folic acid because you want to make sure you can use the folic acid, and B12 and folic acid go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so if you take a whole bunch of B12, you can deplete folic acid. If you take a whole lot of folic acid, you can deplete B12. But he's right about as people age, red meat is your best source of B12, and or an organ meat. And they get to where they don't eat it.
Livers.
And so we do see people as they age.
There's nothing like some good beef liver, is it?
I love this stuff.
I do too. I haven't had that in a long time. Liver and onions.
Oh yeah, man, that's good stuff.
But it is, you do want to supplement your B12. And the good thing is B12 don't hurt you.
Right.
And so it's not one that you absolutely have to have checked in order to take it. Now, we always recommend it because if, say, you check it and it's extreme low, you may need a higher dose than what we would recommend to somebody that we didn't know had that bad of a deficiency. So it just really depends, but we do see a lot of elderly, and it's so easy to actually help B12. Now,
And you test that with a blood test,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
for the
sure.
people out there though, you go out and take B12 and in 2 days it doesn't help. It's not going to. Anytime that there's been nerve damage, so no matter what we're talking about here today,
Right.
any of the things that help with any kind of neuropathy is not instant, unfortunately, because neuropathy is damage to the nerve. So you actually got to take away the cause, and then you got to do something to actually help the nerve repair. And there are natural things to help the nerve repair.
Well, talking about the B12, I mean, matter of fact, a few weeks ago, my wife was complaining about having restless leg, and because she's on her feet 10 hours a day working at what she does, and Jim and Janine recommended some B12 for her. And they're right. I mean, it took about a week for it to really start kicking in, but after about a week, she noticed a difference. Her legs didn't bother her as they did because she had that B12 deficiency in there.
And some of the restless leg people also have an iron deficiency, but like we even told her, you want to make sure you check it before you just take it, because a lot of people don't need iron. Now, it's one of those that you can hurt yourself if you don't need it, but B12, really, not a lot of side effects if you take B12.
I take it.
And everybody thinks B12. We get this one all the time. Well, do I need shots? No. Now, 30 years ago, yeah. Because we didn't.
Yeah, what is this about? People get sick. I need a B12 shot.
Well,
I need a B12 shot.
The thing about B12 and the shots, years ago, 30 years ago, and so on, the thing happened that we only had one kind of B12, and that was the cyanocobalamin, which is really hard to absorb, hard to get in your body, and so on. So yeah, they'd use a shot to bypass the gut. Now with this methylated form that us and all the good people are using, you can absorb it and it's usable. So.
Well, we had a caller ask, can you define neuropathy and A1C?
Okay, well, I think we just talked about the A1C, but I'll go through it again.
Okay.
The A1C it's called the hemoglobin A1C. There's a protein on your blood, in your blood cells, that's called the A1C. Okay, that's its designation. And what we look at when we look at your hemoglobin A1C, for instance, for the neuropathies or for diabetes or prediabetes, you're looking at how much of a percentage of that A1C protein is damaged. So you're looking at a percentage of damage.
And it's a common test. If anybody out there is diabetic, they usually know about it, because it's a common test to see how diabetes is being controlled.
Right.
We use it on almost every one of our panels has an A1C, because we find problems and people don't know it because it doesn't show up on their spot glucose and it shows up on their hemoglobin A1C.
Right.
So we do think it's a really important test for everybody to have done. I mean, even the kids, like we're saying, because we're seeing a lot of higher A1Cs in kids nowadays. So that's what the A1C is. Now, a neuropathy is basically pathological problem on the nerve, is kind of what what it means. But really, it's nerve pain and nerve damage due to different problems.
Yeah, it's the damage, and that can cause a lot of things. It can cause pain, it can cause a burning sensation, it can do all those things.
Yeah,
so that's
burning,
what
numbness, tingling, pain, loss of sensation, loss of hot and cold.
Right.
And it can even affect the motor, which is your actual muscles themselves. So that's kind of what a neuropathy is. And like I said, there are things that you can actually do to help neuropathies. We do have a product called Neurochondria that's kind of like a combination of things. It does have your B12, it has your methylated folate, but at the same time, it has all the higher antioxidants, your glutathione, it does have the CoQ10, and it also has something called R-lipoic acid, which R-lipoic acid has definitely been shown to actually help repair the nerve. And it also has B1. It has all kind of stuff in it that can actually help nerve repair. And so Neurochondria is a really good formula that you can do to actually help with the repair. But like I said, nothing's immediate.
No.
Like I said, we have B12 by itself. We have the B12 and methylated folate. I mean, it depends on the person. And it depends on what's causing it.
And even taking, you mentioned the R-lipoic. There's an alpha-lipoic acid, which is the most common one. But the alpha-lipoic, our body has to convert it into R-lipoic at times. And so, but the alpha-lipoic is an extraordinary.
It's also good. It's actually less expensive. So the alpha-lipoic is something that we use a lot because of cost. Right. The R-lipoic, like I said, it just happens to be in that neurochondria. Right. And we do have R-lipoic by itself. We have a lot of people that come in with neuropathies. And it really is amazing how many people out there suffer with it and that you don't even know it.
Real common.
And if you've ever had nerve pain, you know that it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably we actually have something for the nerve pain. and it's called inosine. It's one that you don't see a lot. Most of the research on it's for MS or multiple sclerosis, but we've actually found that it does help with other neuropathies, and it does actually help with people that have diabetic neuropathy. It helps with people that have injury neuropathy. It makes a big difference.
It's an amino acid. It's a very specific kind of an amino acid, but like she said, it works. It's kind of amazing.
And it does help the pain as well, and it works a little bit quicker.
All right, Adrian from Gulfport on the phone. Good morning, Adrian. What's your question for the doctors?
Good morning.
Morning.
When it's cold, the ends of my fingers get really cold, and if I don't have gloves on, it kind of hurts. And I'm wondering if that's neuropathy.
It could
It's
be.
possible, but
it could also be something else.
It could be something they call Raynaud's.
Yeah.
But Raynaud's is a circulatory problem because circulation can also make those symptoms. So when you have the bad circulation, and cold tends to trigger it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's possible that you have the Raynaud's, and we do have stuff for that too. We use stuff like the Natto Advantage, which actually helps with the circulatory part, and even some of the things that just help circulation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do have stuff for it. Maybe come by and let's talk to you a little bit more and figure out what it might be.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
896-0713, 800-349-0713. We'll be back with our final segment and this week's special. And welcome back. Our phone lines are open at 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. We're talking about neuropathy this morning and trying to give you some relief from that, or if you know someone, give them a call, tell them to tune in this last little segment that we're doing. Lionel from Pass Christian on the phone. Good morning, Lionel. What's your question for the doctors?
I got a good question for I had a surgery in Gulfport about 2 years ago on my right arm.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut the main artery, and I actually died in surgery. Well,
Ew.
they airbagged me to Gulfport.
Mm-hmm.
And, I go to New Orleans. Well, when they had me in Gulfport, they gave me 4.5 pints of blood. And then when they airbagged me in New Orleans, they gave me another 4 pints of blood and then had to replace that artery. My question is, if that blood affects you?
Did that what?
The blood, does it affect your body?
The new blood that you get?
Well,
Right.
like all blood that is used in blood transfusions is screened.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they screen it for every known thing. I mean, you can't ever say there's something there that's not known. Now, when you have a blood transfusion, that blood is gone within probably a month after you have it. So now it's all your own blood.
Yeah.
Now, not to say if there's something that is not screened that we don't know about that you can't get from that blood, because it's possible. And
Right.
like Hep C, for instance, we see a lot of people that got Hep C from blood transfusions before.
96.
It was not screened until 96. And so it was around since the 60s, they just didn't know about it. So that is one of the why you don't want to just run out and get blood transfusions, but in your case, it saved your life. So
That's it. Yeah, typically
I was
speaking,
kind of disappointed in a way because of the way they did it, because I done went through 5 major surgeries with this arm.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the thing is, I mean, there's you don't want something like that to happen. Because it
That's right.
it causes, like I said, it causes damage, and even just the fact that other tissues that might have been damaged when you were not breathing.
Exactly.
A lot of stuff can happen when things like that happen, but unfortunately, blood transfusions are very essential at times.
very necessary at times.
I took 8.5 pints of
Yeah,
blood.
that's a lot.
But the doctor, it was an accident when he cut it. I didn't.
Well,
have
yeah,
the
he didn't mean to do that, I'm sure. But
I'm sure.
And, but they now I have lots of nerve damage.
they can, so they might not have just cut the artery; they might have cut
Might
the
have
nerve
nicked
as
that
well.
nerve, too.
Exactly,
They did.
That's-
because
They cut the deltoid muscle. And I can only have no use of that arm. no
we
more at
didn't
all.
even mention that a lot of times after surgeries, people have neuropathies because the nerve is damaged. Unfortunately, sometimes the nerve is damaged to a point where nothing helps at that point. And
Right.
the bad thing is there's not much you can do. Even the nutrients and stuff don't help at that point.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah.
Well, they wound up putting a plate in it. They had to lock it down.
Yeah.
They put a plate, and they wound up cutting the bone off and putting a joint.
Yeah,
Wow.
And they got 14 screws from my elbow to the top of my shoulder.
that's not good. Well,
Wow.
I'm glad you made it, but I
Yeah.
wish you wouldn't have all those problems. But
Yeah, we're glad to have
Yeah.
you here. But
But I think I need something with that muscle pain. That's what I was wondering about.
I mean, you can try. come by. There might be some stuff to help.
I would definitely try that Innocent. I mean,
The
if
Innocent's
there's
something to help.
anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one that I think.
And of course, we're going to talk about it in a second, but it's one of our specials this week too. So,
What is it?
Innocent.
It's an amino acid that.
And it does help with the nerve pain. Now, muscles can also be helped by something we have called ribofuel.
Right.
So maybe come by and we'll talk to you more specific and see what's best for you.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
Right. Don't y'all take a blood test and all that?
We can do
can.
blood
We'll
tests
do
and
that,
see what's
yeah.
going on. Now, just to let everybody know, we are not going to be in this week. We're here doing the show, but we are off the rest of the week. The store is open Monday through Wednesday this week, but we are not there. Dr. Bull is.
Dr. Bull is,
So there is still a doctor there, but we are not there. And he had put the specials up, and the
There we go.
specials this week are the products I've talked about. Innocent and Neurochondria, we have it 25% off Monday through Wednesday, since that's the only time we're there. And then we have a 50% off of our alpha lipoic acid 300 while it lasts. So come by, get that, see how you do.
Stock up. Yeah. We get a lot of people that take that alpha lipoic that
Right.
are diabetics and pre-diabetics. So
And alpha lipoic is used a lot in anti-aging medicine. So you
Yes.
see a lot of people use it for skin and for,
And you're not telling me about this yet?
Alpha lipoic is, well, it's in all of our, like our GSF, which is a diabetic product, also has alpha lipoic
Yes,
in
it does.
because it's also good for blood sugar control. But it's good for blood sugar control, but at the same time, you see it in all your wrinkle books, talk about alpha lipoic acid being so good for skin and wrinkles and aging.
Alpha
lipoic.
lipoic.
Yep.
All right, add that to my list.
yeah, I see. I'm gonna
And
try
it's a
some of that.
great
Anti-aging
antioxidant.
stuff.
But it's also an antioxidant. They show it's water and fat soluble, and it's one of the better antioxidants out there you can take.
One of the strongest,
Yeah.
actually.
So
Because it'll either get the fat soluble stuff or the water soluble. One end of it's fat soluble, one end of it's water soluble. So it's really kind of a unique molecule in itself.
now, if you take high doses of alpha lipoic long term, you do need biotin. Just to mention that.
Just throw that in.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that it does is it can actually make your body need more biotin if you take it long term at high doses.
Okay.
And the 300 milligram one we have is a pretty decent dose. Yeah.
All right. All right, we got just a couple of minutes left. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you. Have a question for the doctors regarding neuropathy or anything regarding health issues that you're having to deal with or families having to deal with. So give us a call.
One thing we were going to mention is a study that had come out about a few of the medications used for
Yeah.
neuropathies, the Lyrica and the Neurontin, because we have a lot of people ask us about this. And what we tell them is look up the research, and there's something that just came out.
There was an article published, and the work was done at Stanford, so can't question that. And it was published in a journal called Cell, and it's just about all kinds of cellular metabolism and so on. But it's a peer-reviewed journal, and they published this study based on, they've now found out what these compounds, gabapentin or Neurontin and or Lyrica or pregabalin, do in the body. And one of the things they do is it's kind of an overload of GABA, and it kind of does some damage to some of the GABA receptors in the brain. One thing it does is it stops your body or brain from being able to make new synapses, which are little communication things. And
which is
of course,
not a good thing long term.
the company always says, well, yeah, but in an adult brain, you don't need those things. Actually, you do for memory. So, even for short-term memory, like where did I put my car keys? Those kind of things. So it stops that process. And so it does have its side effects.
Right, and we had an article on our Facebook page, and it got a lot of interest.
A lot of
And
interest.
so that's why we thought to mention it, is because a lot of people did like and share that.
And be sure you go on their Facebook page
Yep.
and find out a lot of
Right.
great stuff. So what about next week? What are we talking about?
We're just going to talk about some of the new research in health and medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're always
there's always
bringing
different
up,
new
we're
things
always
coming
bringing
out.
up research, but we're going to talk more specific about there's so much that comes out.
It's
Okay.
unbelievable how much stuff comes
And
out
of
each
course,
week.
stuff
Yeah.
on probiotics is
Yeah.
probably daily.
And for those of you that were on hold, just call in next week. Doesn't matter what the
Yes.
subject is. And we'll hope you have a great week and a happy Thanksgiving to everyone.